Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. My name's Gbay99, and today we're going to be doing a Q&A. This is the stream. We're streaming right now. This is going to be the last day that I am streaming before I head up to the University of Washington to take part on a panel with Lily Pichu and two other YouTubers. I'm really excited about making this trip. I'm really excited about going to this event for University of Washington's Geek Week. If you are up there, it's like this Saturday, the 21st is the day that I'm going to be there. If you're around the area, be sure to come watch the panel, say hi to everyone. I will be getting back on Monday, and my streams and regular videos will resume then with that schedule. But anyway, let's go ahead. We're doing a Q&A here with the chat. Let's jump into some questions. Nathan7177 asked, when did you start playing League? For anyone who doesn't know, I think I've said this on the channel a few times, but for anyone who doesn't know, I started playing League back in 2010. I actually first played League back when it was in beta, but my computer couldn't run it. But back in 2010, the World Cyber Games were going on. I was watching mostly for the Counter-Strike and StarCraft, and this game called League of Legends was there as a promotional event. I remembered it from trying it out back in beta, and I was like, okay, it's an official game now. Let's check it out, see how it is. It was one of the few teams that had an American team in the finals, since, you know, it was always Koreans in the finals for StarCraft, always Europeans for Counter-Strike. And CLG was playing against SK Gaming back then for the finals. CLG ended up winning. It was just a great series of games. It got me hooked on the game, and I've just been playing ever since. It's been the game I've played most ever since, and it made me a lifelong CLG fan too. How long do you think it would take to become proficient at League? That's a pretty good question. A lot of people say that it would take a long time for someone to get good at League. I was watching Rekful's stream the other day, and he's actually been trying out League. His chat is really mean to him whenever he plays League on stream, because he was mostly a World of Warcraft streamer until he got banned. I honestly feel like it would only take like maybe 2 to 3 weeks for like an experienced video game player, you know, someone who's experienced with gaming in general. I feel like it would only take a few weeks for someone to get good at League. The issue with the League is the fact that it's so deep. There are 100 and however many champions out there right now, and learning one champion, even just learning one champion, playing them over and over to a point where you know at every level how much damage you deal, how much every other champion you could be facing deals, and knowing when you should be aggressive, when you should be passive because of it, that's a little bit tricky, and that's probably the hardest part of playing League, because there's just so much to know. That's what really sort of defines like the good and great players, and that's the issue with becoming really good at League, and why you have to invest a decent amount of time into it, because you have to keep up to date on all that sort of stuff. Fuzzy Lyra asks, why is top lane your favorite role? What makes it more exciting for you than the other lanes? That's a really good question. The reason I like top lane so much is mostly because I started playing the game in like Season 1, Season 2. I think that has a little bit to do with it. But the thing that draws me to top lane is just the fact that it's such a creative role. Like when you look at champions in League of Legends, you look at AD carries, especially AD carries back then in Season 1. The AD carries are like, you know, okay, there's some variation between them, but they're all based on their auto attacks, you know. Pretty much every AD carry, with the exception of a few, are all based on their auto attacks. So you always get Infinity Edge, or you used to. You always get Phantom Dancer, you used to. You would always get specific items on every champion, because they were all built the same way, because they were all played the same way, all based around their auto attacks. Same thing with support, same thing with jungle, almost, and also the same thing with mid lane, unless you occasionally saw an assassin mid lane. They were pretty much always AP. The thing about top lane that really intrigued me was the fact that you could see fucking anybody go top lane. You could see an Aurelia top lane, where it's like a hybrid. You could see a Jax in a similar fashion. You could see a straight up AP, like Vladimir or Kennen go top lane. You even saw Annie go top lane back in Season 1 when I first started playing. You got to see so many crazy stuff, crazy things go top lane, and you got really diverse matchups because of it. And Annie playing against a Corki top lane, for instance, you would see that sometimes, and it's like, okay, you know, maybe you know that matchup, but then that's going to be completely different from when you're playing Annie against Malphite, when you're playing Aurelia versus Jax, when you're playing Jax against Vladimir. There's a bunch of different matchups top lane, and the lane is just so diverse that it really intrigued me, and it also sort of let a lot of players, a lot of professional players play the game where they were like able to build a personality around their playstyle, because the playstyles of all the top laners back then were so unusual. You had Hotshot, Gigi, who could literally carry games just on Nidalee, Cho'Gath, or Galio three champions that could be similar in certain regards, but they're pretty diverse champions, and you never really saw anyone else top lane back then who mained Nidalee, Cho'Gath, Galio, because everyone had their own creative set of champions they like to play. That's the thing that I really like about top lane, and it's the thing that sort of kept me playing it for so long. PackerFan504 asked, what do you believe is the biggest issue in the game right now? I would say the biggest issue in the game right now is probably... Honestly, I'm struggling to find some issue that I think is a big issue within the game right now. I feel like League of Legends is probably, at least from a top laner's perspective, and a solo queue perspective, I feel like the game is really balanced right now. It's a lot more balanced than it's ever really been before. You don't have one lane that's completely dominated by a certain champion or a certain number of champions that are always picked and always do really well against every other champion in that lane. I feel like the game is just really balanced, where the strongest laners, the strongest characters in certain spots are people like Aurelia, who can, you know, maybe they have a really strong kit right now, but there's certainly things that can beat them. They can definitely get beat, and honestly, the game feels really fun to play right now, and it's really balanced. A lot of people will always complain over every little change that's made. A lot of people will always complain over, you know, there's always going to be complainers about every little buff and nerf to every champion, but right now, if you compare the game now to other seasons, to earlier seasons, and to other points where the game was much more imbalanced, I feel like the game is in a really good spot right now that I can't really think of a big issue that I would like to change with it. If you had a chance to make a champion, what champion would you make? That's, okay, I've told this a few times. The champion that I would love to make is a champion that's like a thief champion. Now, I think Riot already has like a thief champion. There's been supposedly a leak of someone saying that there's a thief champion in development right now. A champion that I would love to see, though, is a thief champion that interacts with gold in a way that no other champion does. Like, they have a passive on a 10-second cooldown where every auto attack that you auto on another champion, you steal 1 gold from them, or 2 gold, or something like that. I feel like that would be a really interesting champion. If I could design a champion, I would want to do something like that, where I interact, or where the champion interacts with the game in a way that no other champion has done before. Gold has always been a very stagnant thing that you just, you know, you get from last hitting. There's occasionally a champion that gives you a little bit more gold from last hitting, like, you know, Gangplank's Q. If you last hit with a Q, you get a little bit more gold from last hitting, and that's all cool and everything. But a champion that interacts with gold or any other aspect of the game in a way that we haven't seen before would be really, really fun, I think. I love those diverse champions, the champions that have not, you know, not another champion that just has a Q that resets auto attack, a W that's a shield, a E that's some sort of movement or a skill shot or whatever. You know, I want to see a champion that interacts with the game in a way that we haven't seen before, and I feel like a thief champion that steals characters' gold or has some sort of interaction with gold in that way could be really fun. Do you think you're ever going to reach Master or Challenger? I think that if I do really start climbing high, then this season is going to be the season. The last 2 seasons of League of Legends, I've definitely been stagnant in my rating. I've just been focusing on YouTube and not even streaming that much, but a little bit of streaming. This season, I want to go hard in the paint. I want to stream almost every day, you know, only taking the occasional day off to make YouTube videos. I want to focus on streaming a lot, and I want it all to be ranked and climbing as high as possible. If I'm ever going to reach Master or Challenger or even just Diamond 1, then I definitely think we're going to come pretty close this season. The first champions I ever played were Heimerdinger and Twisted Fate. Those first, I played 2 games when the game was in beta before I realized my computer couldn't run it, because like from like clicking the continue after the victory screen, taking that and then going to the post game lobby took like 30 minutes. But I was able to play 2 games, and they were both custom games, 1v1 against a bot. And the first 2 champions I ever played were Heimerdinger and Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate because I thought he looked really cool, and I thought he was just like a cool guy in general. But Heimerdinger because I thought this is a game where you're supposed to push turrets and take down turrets and eventually push to the enemy base and kill the base. I didn't even think about killing opponents. I was just thinking about pushing turrets and killing your opponent's turrets, and I was like, this guy can make his own turrets. He must be ridiculously overpowered. Have you been recognized as Gbay99 on the street before? In public, I was recognized once. I was at dinner in Seattle with Fidget, and we were at a what was it? It was a Red Robin, and at the end of our meal, our waiter says, I think I recognize you from somewhere. And I was getting that a lot because apparently I have a very recognizable face. A lot of people were just saying that, like, I look like a friend of theirs, and I was like, I've been getting that a lot today. And he was like, are you Gbay99? And then it just blew my mind. I was like, oh shit, you actually do recognize me. Yeah, I am. And then he was a really cool guy. I give him a really big tip, I think. Where do you see yourself in 20 years? In 20 years, I honestly have no idea where I'm going to be. Right now, I feel like we live in a very interesting time where we have no idea what the future is going to be in any regard of our lives. Back, you know, you could go back 100 years ago or just 10 years ago, and you can see a lot of professions are like, okay, there's definitely going to be a television in every house all across America for the foreseeable future. Careers in television are pretty okay. A lot of people say TV's dying now, but whatever. You know, there's a lot of careers out there. We're always going to have bankers. We're always going to have lawyers. We're always going to have, I don't know, judges. I can't get my mind off of law for some reason, but right now, we have no idea what's going to happen with esports. We have no idea what's going to happen with League of Legends. We have no idea what's going to happen with the internet. We really don't know. We don't, like, YouTubers right now don't know if you could be a YouTuber for your entire life. But the only reason we don't know that is because YouTube hasn't been around long enough for someone to try being a YouTuber their entire lives. I really have no idea where I'm going to be in the next 20 years, and I don't think any other YouTuber does. It all depends. And the fact that not only am I a YouTuber, but I'm a YouTuber about League of Legends, a game that could be around for 5 more years or 50 more years or 500 more years, we really have no idea. A lot of people could make educated guesses. A lot of people could look at past experiences, but I mean, if esports really is going to break out into the mainstream at one point, if there's ever going to be a game that's solidified as a game that lasts for 100 years and people watch it and play it competitively for 100 years, then there's no way to really know if the game we're playing now is going to be that game. So I feel like we live in a very exciting time where we really don't know what's going to happen with the future, and I'm just sort of going to go with the win. I'm going to be in college soon. Any advice on starting out in college / adulthood life? That's a good question. I honestly feel like I don't even know that much about, like, being an adult. I think the best advice I could probably give is be aggressive about everything that you want. If there is something out there that you would like to chase, then now is the best time in your life to chase it. You can make excuses for yourself. If you want to be an artist, you can say, there's no way I can be an artist. There's no way I can make any money in art. If you want to be an actor, you can say, the percent of people that become actors is so small. There's no way I'll have a chance of making it. Same if you want to go and try and play in the NFL, if you want to go be a professional, whatever. But if there's anything that you want to chase, now is the time to chase it. And enjoy it, because it's a really fun part of your life. Okay, everyone, that's all for today, though. I hope you had some... I've never done a Q&A, or I've done Q&As on stream before, but I've never put a Q&A on YouTube, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did, or a comment if you would like to see some more Q&As in the future. I would definitely love to do some more if people are interested. I hope you guys did enjoy it. I will be back home on Monday, and I'll be back to streaming and making videos on Tuesday. I'll be doing that for like 2 weeks, but then I'll have to leave again because PAX East will be coming up, and I'll hopefully see some of you guys there. I'm really looking forward to the future, and I hope you guys are as well. This is actually a really exciting time, being able to travel all over the place, make all these YouTube videos, and stream all this time. It's really fun, so I will see you guys next time, but until then, thank you very much for watching. Good luck in solo queue, and have a wonderful day.